According to the Cortez Journal, as Southwest Colorado's highways age, the state is looking to raise more money for construction. About 88% of regional highways are within 10 years of coming to an end of having acceptable driving conditions. This according to a new Southwest Colorado Index report. The Colorado Department of Transportation determines drivability by looking at the smoothness, pavement distress, and safety of roads. Sidney Zink, State Transportation Commissioner for District 8, in an email wrote that the area is slated to receive $35 million in priority program funding over the next 10 years, but that is only a piece of what it will likely receive. Regional priority program money is only a small part of the CDOT budget and represents funding available to Region 5 to use based on local priorities. Most funding requests are screened at the state level to meet the highest priority needs across the state. Several steps are being taken to bring in more money to the agency. Proposals to increase the state gasoline tax or sales tax to fund transportation are being discussed and could be on the ballot in November. Applications for this funding, including one to connect U.S. Highway 550 to the Grandview interchange near Three Springs, are currently being considered. Even though the roads are old, collisions across the region, including Archuleta, Dolores, La Plata, Montezuma, and San Juan counties, have been declining since 2010, the report found. Use of public transit has risen in some areas where it is available. For example, rides provided by Dolores County Senior Services have increased by 2,400 in 2004 to 5,320 in 2015. The other Southwest Index reports released so far can be found at www.scan.org.
According to the Cortez Journal, Department of Labor and Employment household surveys indicate that in January, unemployment in Montezuma County fell to 5.8% from 7.4% in January 2015 after adding about 300 people to the workforce. Regional counties are seeing a similar decline, with the exception of Dolores County, which saw layoffs in carbon dioxide development. Its unemployment rate rose from 2.9% in January 2015 to 3% this January after its labor force decreased to 1,218 from 1,684. San Juan County unemployment dropped from 6.3% in January 2015 to 4.6% this January, and its workforce grew from 441 to 456. Archuleta County went from 5.7% unemployment to 3.5% after adding about 475 jobs. La Plata County had a 3% unemployment rate in January 2016, down from the 4.4% in January 2015. La Plata's labor force grew from 29,713 in January 2015 to 30,790 this January. La Plata County, which employs 29,871 as of January 2016, saw the largest workforce expansion within the Region 9 Economic Development District, with growth of about 1,000 in the past year. For the past 15 years, the county has generally maintained a lower unemployment rate than the state by about 0.5 to 1 point. At the Colorado Legislature, a revenue forecast was presented to lawmakers Friday that will help guide lawmakers as they head into the annual spring budgeting process, this year crafting a $27 billion spending plan for the fiscal year of 2016-2017. The Joint Budget Committee also must rethink proposals for the current fiscal year, given news that general fund revenue is expected to be $111 million short, according to a legislative analysis. That's after lawmakers already cut about $300 million from this year's budget.
The Durango Herald reported marijuana legalization stands in Colorado for now, after the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday opted not to hear a challenge brought by neighboring states. Attorneys General for Oklahoma and Nebraska filed a Supreme Court case in December 2014 after the states expressed fears that marijuana from Colorado was crossing their borders. The crux of the case rested on the supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution, which essentially states supremacy of federal law over state law, but the Supreme Court, without an explanation, chose not to hear the case. The decision means Colorado's regulated marijuana marketplace can rest easy, but likely only temporarily. Groups remain committed to overturning the 20 2012 voter-approved law, and Nebraska and Oklahoma can bring the challenge to a lower court. Nebraska and Oklahoma are weighing options to move forward with the case. Justice Clarence Thomas sided with the two states offering a dissenting opinion. Justice Samuel Alito joined Thomas in dissenting. Colorado Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman defended Colorado in the case, saying, "I continue to believe that this lawsuit was not the way to properly address the challenges posed by legalized marijuana. But the problems are not going away. Although we've had victories in several federal lawsuits over the last month, the legal questions surrounding Amendment 64 still require stronger leadership from Washington." Tom Angell, chairman of the Marijuana Majority, a national marijuana advocacy group, added, "There's no question about it. This is good news for legalization supporters. This case, if it went forward and the court ruled the wrong way, had the potential to roll back many of the gains our movement has achieved to date. The notion of the Supreme Court standing in the way could have cast a dark shadow on the marijuana ballot measures voters will consider this November." At the end of the day, if officials in Nebraska and Oklahoma are upset about how much time and resources their police are spending on marijuana cases, as they said in their briefs, they should join Colorado in replacing prohibition with legalization.
According to the Cortez Journal, the Colorado Department of Human Services has awarded a Family Support Services grant to the Pinon Project to enhance services at the nonprofit center in Cortez. The Pinon Project was one of 10 family resource centers in Colorado to receive funds from the grant. The Family Resource Center program was established in 1993 by Colorado's 59th General Assembly through Senate Bill 131. The centers serve vulnerable families, individuals, and youths by providing one-on-one assistance to assess a family's strengths and needs. Family advocates help families develop goals and action plans to increase their self-reliance and provide support, referrals, and encouragement. Family resource centers are important community partners offering multiple programs that help keep children and families safe and strong, said Mary Ann Snyder, Director of Human Services, Office of Early Childhood. This funding enriches the long-standing public-private partnership that family resource centers exemplify. As families attain their goals and thrive, communities become stronger as well, she said. The Pinon Project Family Resource Center is a nonprofit that originated in 1994 as a result of a community grassroots effort under the Healthy Communities Initiative. The Pinon Project is a member of the Family Resource Center Association network of 24 family resource centers that work with families to improve parenting, health, education, employment, housing, and financial management.
The Durango Herald reported samples taken from the Animas River during the season's first spring runoff since August Gold King mine spill raised a red flag for potential harm to aquatic life in the waterway. On February 15th, the Animas River turned a yellow-brown color that signaled to many community members that the long-term effects of the Environmental Protection Agency's release of 3 million gallons of concentrated heavy metals are yet to be seen. From February 15th to March 1st, a nonpartisan independent research station collected samples from the Animas River at Rotary Park. Scott Roberts, an aquatic biologist with MSI, said the samples revealed encouraging results, but also reasons to be wary. The good, most metals concerned with human health, recreational and agricultural use, and domestic water supply did not exceed standards set by the EPA and the state. The bad, though levels for short-term exposure did not pose a risk to aquatic life, Roberts said data indicates that if the amount of metals discharging into the basin remains constant for an extended 30-day period, the health of fish and other macroinvertebrates could be endangered, citing the high levels of aluminum and iron raise a red flag if it persists longer than spring runoff. Last week, crews from Colorado Parks and Wildlife captured 5 species of both brown and rainbow trout from the stretch of river from Cundiff Park to the High Bridge near Mercury Payment Systems, considered a gold medal water fishing spot. The trout will be sent to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment labs in Denver to test the fish's tissue, which officials hope will show if there's been an uptake of heavy metal absorption. Now the concern is that even after 7 months of repeated subjection to higher than usual and potentially toxic metals, such as iron, zinc, copper, and aluminum, fish could start showing signs of declining health. Jim White, a Parks and Wildlife aquatic biologist who conducted the fish capture, said he doesn't anticipate metal concentrations will affect whether it's safe to eat fish caught out of the Animas because the type of metals that drain from mines north of Silverton tend to build up in the trout's internal organs rather than flesh. Still, White said that uptake of metals can stress fish with internal issues such as kidney or liver diseases, and that can lead to secondary complications that ultimately kill the trout. Results from ongoing macroinvertebrate testing would be available in the coming weeks, and Mountain Studies Institute will continue to monitor water quality throughout 2016 and make it available on the group's website.
According to the Denver Herald, for the third season in a row, Colorado ski areas operating on public land paid record high rent to their federal landlord, revealing the state's resort industry is making more money on the Hill than ever before. Revenue-based permit fees from 22 Colorado resorts operating on U.S. Forest Service land climbed more than 11% to $23 million for the 2014-15 season, a record marked by the highest ever annual rent payments from the largest destination ski areas. That bounty of rent, $17.7 million of it coming from the 11 resorts in the White River National Forest, the most skied national forest in the country, goes directly into the U.S. Treasury. That bothers both resort operators and local Forest Service workers who could use the surging fees to address the impacts of growing recreation. There are efforts in Washington, D.C. to help individual forests retain fees at its collecting for use on its land, led by proposed legislation from Oregon Senator Ron Wyden. As the Forest Service budget dwindles and the cost of firefighting gobbles a larger share, there is growing interest among lawmakers to help direct fees back to the forest where they are collected, said Melanie Mills, chief of the 21 Resort Colorado Ski Country Trade Group. That pressure shows no signs of abating, especially as resorts, flush with cash, reinvest and upgrade facilities. Each new restaurant, renovated snowmaking system, and replaced chairlift requires deliberate review by the Forest Service. So does the exploding development of summer amenities, further burdening the overworked, understaffed, and budget-strapped district rangers tasked with studying each resort plan. Snowmass and Copper Mountain also have presented the agency with sweeping plans for summertime recreation, part of the 2011 Ski Area Recreational Opportunity Enhancement Act that was designed to stabilize year-round economies in mountain communities anchored by ski areas. The boom in summer recreation promises to grow resorts' revenue-based rent checks to the Forest Service. But don't expect resorts to sit back and bask in their windfalls. Every resort manager knows they are one season away from acute pain. A surging dollar, a terrorist attack, an economic downturn, and most importantly, a death of snowfall can derail a record season in short time. Colorado has enjoyed a stretch with both a strong economy and solid snowfall, but that can always change. And now, here's our weather report.
Today we have quite a colorful regional satellite map for you, with a series of major storms bringing rain and snow across much of the west. And here in the Four Corners and Upper Dolores River, we are in a current wind advisory from noon till 9 p.m. Winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts of 50. This results in a fire weather red flag warning also issued for this time with low humidity and dry fuels. The next storm sequence may come through our area Friday evening into Saturday with less than an inch worth of snow showers possible at that time. Onto the national forecast map, you can see that blizzards threaten heavy snow from Colorado to Michigan. In a winter storm pattern they named Selena, conditions are expected to worsen in parts of the north central U.S. through midweek. Severe storms may cause flash flooding once again in an already saturated Texas to Alabama southeastern region, also bringing damaging winds, hail, and more isolated tornadoes. An upper-level energy accompanying a southward dip in the jet stream is pushing in through the northwest, which is bringing that energy down into the Rockies. From our local DCTV weather station, we are currently experiencing temperatures in the 50s, and as the gusty winds now in the upper teens circle around from the southeast, they'll continue to thrash our area, and the cold will come through tonight, feeling even colder due to the potential rain or snow mix, most likely on into Wednesday. We catch a break on Thursday with more sunshine and milder temps, and again, Good Friday and Saturday look to bring a chance of rain or snow. Keep those hearth fires burning, as the combo of winds and lower overnight temps means we aren't quite yet feeling like spring. According to the Farmer's Almanac, the full moon will happen tomorrow, March 23rd, so we're ending a barren period, best for killing plant pests or doing chores around the farm. And then on 23rd to the 24th, they say it's fine for sowing grains, hay, and forage crops. Plant flowers, favorable days for planting root crops. And on into Easter weekend, March 25th through the 27th, start your seed beds. Good days for transplanting and an excellent time for planting root crops that can be planted right now. Also good for leafy vegetables. And now back to you, Kelsey.
According to the Cortez Journal, town officials say that opting out of Senate Bill 152 would give Mancos more opportunities to use its 3,300 feet of fiber optics line. But voters will decide April 5th whether the town can be free from the binds of the bill. Right now, those fiber lines hook up only to public buildings, said Mancos Town Administrator Andrea Phillips. The town can't offer broadband internet service to businesses or residents, she said. SB 152 requires local government to seek voter approval before providing telecommunication services. It also prevents municipalities from entering into private-public partnerships or expanding networks to provide those services. The Mancos Board of Trustees passed a resolution March 9th urging citizens to vote in favor of authorizing the town to opt out. Phillips said exemption from the bill would let the town explore more options. Those options might include a private-public partnership or leasing some of the fiber lines that currently aren't being used, Phillips said. But since town staffers are focused on the vote to opt out, the Board of Trustees hasn't decided on any concrete plans for the town's broadband future should Mancos gain the ability to opt out of the bill. The town has no plans to create a public broadband utility. Opting out of the bill could give Mancos an opportunity to collaborate with other area governments such as Montezuma County, Phillips said. Dolores has joined with Montezuma County on a plan to deliver broadband service to the area and agreed to chip in $3,334 toward a feasibility study. The county has allocated $60,000 and hired Optimum Fiber Solutions to study internet demand and infrastructure needs in the county and on the Ute Mountain Ute land. The county and Dolores also plan to ask voters to opt out of SB 152. The Southwest Colorado Council of Governments got a $3 million grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs to lay fiber in communities across the region. Fiber in Mancos was laid over the past few years and was hooked up to government buildings last year, Phillips said. Mancos Valley Chamber of Commerce Administrator Marie Chiariza said opting out of SB 152 would help the chamber market Mancos as being internet-friendly.
The BLM says they are taking key steps to expedite solar energy development on public lands. The Bureau of Land Management announced key milestones in implementing the Western Solar Plan with the release of mitigation strategies that will expedite the safe and responsible development of solar energy zones in Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. The strategies apply a landscape-level approach to managing development in designated areas known as solar energy zones, or SEZs, on public lands. They identify natural, cultural, and human resources that could be impacted by potential solar development, as well as ways to mitigate any unavoidable impacts off-site. The strategies provide certainty to potential project developers by recommending a per-acre fee that would fund off-site mitigation measures and streamline environmental review for individual projects within the zones. Solar energy development is a promising resource for western states and counties, and the BLM is committed to moving forward with smart development of this resource. The plan provided a blueprint for utility-scale solar energy permitting in Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah by establishing zones with access to existing or planned transmission, incentives for development within those areas, and a process through which to consider additional zones and solar projects. The draft mitigation strategy was recently released for these SEZs on BLM managed lands in Colorado's San Luis Valley. The strategies are not National Environmental Policy Act documents or decisions. Rather, they are strategy documents that will help inform analysis of specific solar project proposals. A draft regional mitigation strategy for Colorado Solar Energy Zones webinar will be held March 24th. Landscape assessment and the executive summary for the cultural landscape assessment is available for public review. The final strategies are effective immediately. The public will have 45 days to comment on the draft Colorado Solar Regional Mitigation Strategy, which started on March 3rd. The BLM expects to release the final strategy for Colorado in the spring.
According to the Cortez Journal, the 7th annual Mancos Melt Putt-Putt Golf Tournament took place March 12th and raised $700 for the Painted Turtle Studios Children's Scholarship Program. The money will go toward funding and purchasing supplies for the studio's after-school program for kids, Mancos Melt organizer Rena Wilson said. This year's steampunk-themed tournament featured 50 participants and 20 golf holes. The tournament drew more participants than last year, Wilson said. More people in the community were involved since several new businesses have opened in downtown Mancos, including the Mancos Brewery and the reopened Mount Lookout Grange, Wilson said. Kelsey Keck and Breezy Oblets of Cortez were tournament first-place winners. Rick and Kathy Keck of Cortez were second-place winners. Kevin Joyce and Jim Harris of Hesperus were third-place winners, and Linda Odell and Derek Goldtooth of Cortez were fourth-place winners. Rob Koverick of Cortez won Best Costume for his all-handmade steampunk outfit that featured a hand-forged putter and metal steampunk parts built into his leather jacket. The second-place prizes were awarded to Tammy Graham and Armida Hureta of Mancos. Costume judges Rick and Kate St. Ange also were awarded a prize. Kelly and Bruce Chicot at the Goodnight Trail Gallery in Mancos won Best Golf Hole for their southwestern design that featured a Mexican hat, Navajo rug, and various obstacles, Wilson said. Wilson wasn't able to coordinate the full Mancos Melt event this year, but she said she has recruited some people to help put on the full event for next year.
Reported by CurePain.co, Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders has filed a bill in the Senate seeking to end the federal criminalization of marijuana. The bill filed a month ago, called Ending Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act of 2015, would amend the Controlled Substances Act to remove mentions of the drug from the law. The law on cannabis differs between the states. So far, Colorado, Washington State, Alaska, and Oregon have legalized the sale and possession of marijuana for medical and recreational or adult use, while Washington, D.C. has legalized the personal use but not the sale of the drug. Last month, Ohio voters strongly rejected the legalization of marijuana. In an interview with CNN, Sanders explained the aim of the bill was for states to make the decision on marijuana without the federal government getting in the way. It would also help distributors who are allowed to sell marijuana in their state but cannot use banks, which would technically violate federal law. The move by the Vermont senator is likely to prove popular with his young liberal fan base. Legalizing marijuana can lead to increased revenue for individuals and state governments. Sales and surrounding services in Colorado, since it was legalized, is contributing to part of an economic recovery in the state.
And now for this week's Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup. The Sheriff's Office responded to the Dove Creek Superette regarding a report of a missing child. The child was located in the back of the vehicle. The Sheriff's Office received a report of careless drivers driving on Highway 491 in the Dove Creek city limits. A local business reported finding a customer's wallet. Dispatch was able to contact the individual who then picked up the wallet. A town resident reported that she was being stalked. A deputy responded and is investigating. That's all for today's Sheriff's Roundup. I will have more reports as the week progresses, so stay tuned.
For today's High Country happenings, Thursday, March 24th, the Southwest Colorado Concerts presents its final Celebrate Local Musicians concert, 7 p.m. at the Montezuma Cortez High School Auditorium. For details, contact Lindsay Havrin at 565-7676. And every other Thursday at the Old Pinion Shop on Main Street in Dove Creek, a musical gathering happens starting at 7 p.m. So you can join in the jam session or just listen listen and visit, and everyone is welcome. Friday, March 25th, the screening of Sick Around the World shows at 6 p.m. at the Sunflower Theater, East Main Street in Cortez, followed by presentation on Colorado Care Amendment 69 by T.R. Reed. Open to the public. Details, you can go to coloradocareyes.org. And for an end note, next month in New York and London, the Temple of Baal will come to Times Square and Trafalgar Square. Reproductions of the 50-foot arch that formed the temple's entrance are to be a tribute to the 2,000-year-old structure that the Islamic State destroyed last year in the Syrian town of Palmyra. The temple was dedicated in 32 AD to the Mesopotamian god Bel or Baal. We'd love to share information about what's happening to support all of your regional groups, individuals, and communities. So please let us know your event by sending an email to dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 970-677-4119. And we're adding all of the High Country Happenings info to our Facebook page.
Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
And you can also rewatch the broadcasts on YouTube at the DCTV News at Noon channel. And please like us on DCTV News at Noon Facebook page and follow us on Twitter.
For Kendra Cook and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.